back live inside of Interactive Buzz FEVA TV. Kiri Lee holding you down, locking it in, and we talked about it. I promised it, and now on the line, doing it right now. It's big, man. We're talking to the legendary. We're talking about the legendary, of course, mixed DJ Enuff. Enuff, what's good?
What's up, Kiri? How you feeling, baby? All right.
It's all blessed, and really good to have you here. Part of our Titan series, and our Titan series is like, taking it from hip hop and the movement from when it was around the way to now being around the globe, right? So we were birthed into it. It was around the way. Now it blew up. It's around the globe. You are an instrumental part of that. Of course, launching such careers as 50 Cent, Kanye West, Chris Brown, all these artists at the first time. So many of us heard of these artists, of course, was through your mix platform and things that you were doing real big. And of course, most notably, we're gonna have to talk about it as well. The official tour DJ for the late great, the notorious B.I.G. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's what's up, man. From around the way to around the globe, hip hop. Absolutely like a missile shot through the atmosphere, and being as that you were first-hand account. Let's first talk about it. Let's talk about how you got started. Like, how did you fall in love with hip hop? What was that first record? What was that first experience? That first music video that made you decide that this is what
for me
want?
It wasn't a video. My dad had a copy of Planet Rock by Soul Sonic Force.
Yes.
In his possession on the turntable, and when I heard that for the first time with a big pair of headphones and ultimately the speakers at the house, it blew my mind. Right. I mean, to the point where I was literally staring at the stereo, listening to the vibes and like being hypnotized by them and not understanding what the hell was going on. That's when I fell in love with hip hop that day.
Wow, so it was like that. So how old were you when you started DJing?
Wow, I had to be, 975. I'm counting now. Hold on.
Beautiful.
I had to be a teenager, baby, about 16, 17 years old, And
you just decided that that's what you wanted to do, and obviously you had a flair for it.
Absolutely.
So how did it go from deciding you want to be a DJ to actually DJing, getting on the ones and twos, to actually then being recognized? Like, how did that first big break happen? How did that go down?
I think the first big break for me, whether I knew it or not, was that I was going to college. I was going to Kingsborough Community College. They had a very, very big Caribbean and West Indian following. I was part of the Pan-African Student Association, and we used to throw our yearly galas and our monthly hip hop and, Caribbean and kind of vibes parties at the school. So we were a part of that movement. And to kind of see hip hop and Caribbean vibes just kind of living cohesively with each other beautifully in harmony was the vibe that we always carried growing up.
Right.
And to this day, we still try to make it seamlessly, even though when it sometimes doesn't mesh up the way it used to, but we try the best we can.
All right, so you're from Brooklyn, and the home of literally the most legendary rappers, the most legendary film directors, the most legendary athletes, Michael Jordan and Mike Tyson and all that craziness. Talk about the influences, why so many incredible talents, why you think so many incredible hip-hop talents have birthed from there. Mobb Deep, Jay-Z, obviously big. I mean, the list goes on and on and on.
I think Mobb Deep from Queens, but I think for the most part, it's just the attitude. It's something, it's almost like you have to live up to these certain standards. And I think, to know that your brothers and sisters were right along there, they kept the standards high. And that's just the way it was. It's a Brooklyn thing. It's hard to explain.
Right.
But when it was Biggie's turn, he said, spread love the Brooklyn way, which was important.
And so how did you now, all right, so you're on the scene, you got your shot, you're doing these parties. How did you come to Big's attention? Obviously, we knew that your name was huge on the block as it was. Like, you were doing your thing, you were on radio at that time. How did that connection happen with you and Big?
Yeah, with Biggie until like right about the time he was getting ready to release his first debut album. And I remember specifically DJing in nightclubs, and there was one nightclub on a Monday night or a Sunday night that Big couldn't get into, and I was outside at the time, and I co-signed him getting in, telling the promoters and the guys at the door that he's an up-and-coming artist. He just got signed to Uptown MCA. He was gonna be, part of the Bad Boy family, blah 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 blah. And I would just co-sign him like that. He would just go in, and so he showed me a lot of love from that day on. Never forgot about me. It's weird. It's weird. The simplest things, right?
Right, and I mean, and I like that though, because it's a karma thing, right? So it's like good people, and it's like that whole frequency, how it transcends and brings people together, right? So they provides opportunities for those people to come together, but it's the frequency that people operate on.
I was being managed by Jessica Rosenblum at the time, who was really good friends with Puff Daddy. And when Mary J. Blige was dropping her My Life album, I got a phone call from Puff Daddy asking me if I would like to be the DJ for the Notorious B.I.G. And that's what changed my life right there. Yeah. It's that simple. I still had to think about it though. It wasn't like a short shot deal, because remember, I had my own career already moving. I was already on the radio. I was already kind of moving and making moves. So I had to ask myself if I wanted to be tied down to an artist. He wasn't the Notorious B.I.G. we all knew yet. He wasn't there yet. You understand? Mm-hmm. But I knew he was magical, though. We knew something about him was magical.
It was all a dream. I used to read Word Up magazine, Salt and Pepper and Heavy D up in the limousine, hanging pictures on my wall. Every Saturday, rap attack Mr. Magic Marley Marl. I let my tape rock till my tape pop, smoking weed and bamboo, sipping on private stock. Way back when I had the ready.
So that must have been a tough decision in that, the radio show was already popping off, right? And then of course getting on the road, right? Those days we didn't have a lot of the technology we have today, where you could broadcast from anywhere or send your mix in or whatnot. You literally had to be in the studio. You had to be there, right? So how did that go down for you? Like, what was the determining, deciding factor for you? Because that's huge, obviously. That is.
It was the feeling. It was just the feeling. It came to a point where it was like, well, if I don't roll with this, I'm gonna be playing myself. So I roll with it. And history's now in the making.
That's crazy. Right. So talk about that first time. Or maybe I won't even say first time. A notable memory for you guys. You're on tour. B.I.G. hasn't really blown yet, but it's about to be real. The whole groundswell is fanatical. It's crazy. What was that like? Just going and seeing that energy. That energy when someone's being just introducing themselves to the world, that they're on their ascension, and just to be able to witness that. What was that like?
It felt amazing. I mean, to see it done record by record. And the reason why I say record by record is because it was almost like we based his success on the outcome of the people pouring out and dancing or supporting of or waving their hands or making noise when Biggie performed. So every record got graded that way. And when Big Papa came, it was one of the big national hits. It wasn't a local juicy. It was a national big monster smash across the country. It's things like that where you kind of watch it and you see it and you understand why the players in Detroit and the pimps in the West Coast love B.I.G.
You got the whole world, the globe on smash right now. President of the heavy hitters, DJs and associates all across the globe. What's up with that? What's that about?
That's my brotherhood of DJs right there, and sisterhood of DJs. Pardon me for my sisters. I apologize. It's an initial network that I created so we can always make sure we on top of it. We could look at charts all day and we could look at where records come from. But if you don't know the backstory behind the neighborhoods and the DJs and the people that live in the hoods that these records are coming out of, you're not going to fully grasp all of maybe the essence of the artist is trying to bring to the table. So with these DJs, they can sometimes connect the dots and tell the stories that maybe we just can't get by reading a chart on a piece of paper. Mm-hmm. So it's important. It could be food, culture, it could be the weather, it could be, just the way you raised in this particular neighborhood, and music has a lot to do with that, and the way we bring it in and serve it as a community of people. We have a responsibility too, socially and economically, to try to make sure we always uplift our people to do better and bigger things, not just for us, but for our community. So we need to build with each other, and this is the best way I know how to do it. And for me, it was just, hey, Terry, you want to get down with me? We're doing this. I'm doing that. But I also had to make sure they fit the profile.
Yeah.
They had to fit the profile that kind of like, moved very similar to the way I moved and carried myself very similar to the way they carried themselves. So it would actually be an honor to be in each other's presence as a hindrance of any sort or something that had to be forced. We never wanted that. We wanted this to always be honest, clean, and just truthful. And that's what the Heavy Hitters is about.
I love that. How many DJs approximately do you guys have across the globe now?
Probably almost 100.
Wow.
Yeah. I don't want any more in that sense, because I think once it starts to hit over the 200 mark, we're not going to be able to be as tight as we did when we were at 100.
And some of the biggest names on the planet as well. But let me ask you this. So for someone who's been in the game at the level that you've been on tour, again, official tour DJ of the Notorious B.I.G., you've done like 1,000, 10,000 parties that you done DJ that you played at. Outside of playing in New York, where are the favorite places for you in the world to go? Where did you go that really blew your mind and you were like, yo, that party was crazy lit?
I think initially it was like going to Paris and Switzerland to understand the importance of the music I was playing, to see that it really did resonate all over the world. And even though there was language barriers, the music kept us all on the same page. And of course, there's like, Jamaica, there's Puerto Rico, there's the Dominican Republic, Haiti, there's tons of places.
Right.
But we toured all over the country. We toured all over the world. We love Japan. We love Tokyo. We love Osaka. We love our brothers in Thailand. We love the brothers on the West Coast. They're all over the country, man, all over the world. It's beautiful.
Love that, because it's really the culture. And so let's stay right there for a second, because you obviously remembered when it was just around the way. It was just the local parties, it was the local clubs, and though it was jumping off, and we talk and have a lot of memories in New York in the early 90s, it was a lot of fun, but taking it from that point when, Father MC was doing it, and again, you're talking about Mary J, Mary J doing it, Uptown Records was doing it, and Jodeci and whatnot, but then all of a sudden, this whole movement comes in, Bad Boy, the whole Craig Mack flavor in your ear, and Biggie Smalls.
Shut down.
Like redefined what it meant, music, redefined the whole industry. What was that like? That's what we call when we say around the way to around the world. What was it like? And I want you to talk about, just seeing that transition, what it meant to you, and maybe even things that you might have noticed during that time.
It was big. It was global. Hip hop was already been global, but the West at the time was making noise and really killing it. And when Big came back around, it kind of like opened the floodgates for the East Coast again. And then the world got to see our perspective and the beautiful melodies and Harleys. He was hardcore, but he was still in pocket with melodies that a beautiful woman would love his music. And I thought that was amazing